Good evening, Danvers. This is the October 3rd Topics of the Town News, and I'd like to welcome John Toomey, and I'm Mark Zuberek. I'm the loudmouth of the outfit, but I will continue to be. What I'd like to do is, first of all, is give you our mission statement of what this program is all about. Topics of Town News reporting is direct and comprehensive. We use the DCAT facilities as provided to Danvers residents. Danvers Community Access Television is a nonprofit membership-based organization governed by DCAT Board of Directors, which is dedicated to providing video and media production tools to encourage the free exchange of information and ideals of Danvers, while bringing the community together through media production, instruction, and community collaboration. We, as subscribers through Verizon and Comcast, support this organization, which is DCAT, through our taxes and fees we pay on our monthly bills. And one of the things that DCAT forgets all the time, every time I speak about it, is that this is a Danvers residents for Danvers purposes production.
There should be more participation by the Danvers residents. It's great, it's fun. And you can get information across, you can get information back, you can get things done. But you got to participate.
Right. We enjoy doing this show because it's an expression of our views and our reporting that has been gathered over the last 2 weeks, basically. So, what I like to do is, first story, Topics of the Town programming, update of recent stories. So what I've done is we have an update, or we do not have a real update, in regards to the Route 62 and Liberty Street intersection issues that have been brought up to the Board of Selectmen. And they have also been brought up on this show as a public service for our residents. The issue here is that there is a intersection directional arrow issue to a neighborhood that's isolated from the rest of Route 62 as a result of the reconstruction of the intersection of 62 and 128. That has been in existence for a while. We will follow this story, and we will probably go out and do a field visit again, because it seems like the town hall and the Department of Public Works and the town manager and the selectmen are really not doing anything. So we'll present to you the status on the October 17th meeting. The second story I have is another old story, Jalbert Lane. Jalbert Lane was discussed and basically donated by the town to the low-income housing or community outreach to build additional housing in the area. Jalbert Lane was identified by the Housing Assistance Trust and was voted in by the town selectmen to be used as a piece of property that can have a building or a home built on it. Well, at the time when this discussion was taking place, the selectmen, in their wisdom, already knew that it was not possible to build a home on that particular lot because it was wetlands. And wetlands are preserved and have to go through many different variations in zoning. And it was determined, finally, after 2 months, finally Mr. Trask, in his dual role as the housing trust president and a selectman, announced at the last meeting, which was on Tuesday, that Jalbert Lane cannot be used as a housing lot. And they knew this when it came up, but they still voted to sell it to the Housing Assistance Trust for $126,000. Any particular lot in Danvers is worth over $250,000 just for the land. So this was a giveaway by the Board of Selectmen, and the Selectmen knew better, but they still followed through on the request by the Housing Assistance Trust. So as that issue is gone now, now what we need to do is we need to encourage the abutters who were very concerned about building this house. Now they have an opportunity to acquire the property that's in between the two abutters and split and take it on as a piece of property that's adjoining to them and becomes one of their lots that they're living on. So that's another issue that's going to be following up. But right now, that issue for the housing trust is dead. Right now, what John has is a couple of very interesting little stories. But I'd like to do is show clip number 1. And this is a barbecue that, why don't you take it over?
Danvers people should get involved. We have many things going on, many organizations. This is the St. Mary's Church, and basically it's a barbecue, it's a dinner, it's a feast, it's a lunch, various things there. They have the TV where you could watch the game. That was the Patriots game going on at that time. You can see people sitting down, having lunch. You can see the tents and so forth with various things were available. The one out back there is where the lunch was available. But what I'm getting at is this is a nice community, and you can socialize very easily. All you have to do is go, join. And here's the opportunity to enjoy a lunch. It doesn't matter what group, what age, elderly, a lot of kids and their parents, all sorts of abilities and various things for everybody to do, and it's great.
And you meet your neighbors, you get to speak to them on a one-to-one basis instead of over the phone.
Yeah,
and
do things.
It's a neighborhood block party, basically.
Get involved.
So thank you, John. This has been, this is exactly what a lot of our neighborhoods do have that happen. But you said that this was down by St. Mary's?
I mean, it was put on by St. Mary's Church.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Well, it's trying to get people together, trying to get the parishioners and friends out. And it's a good example of various things that they can do and attract a lot of different people. As you can see, everybody's having a good time.
And this was probably financed through the neighborhood people that have contributed to it. And they bring in their children, their grandchildren, and they have a good time being together.
Well, the church put it on, so
good.
It's
good. Well, that's a continuation of our neighborhoods, whether it's a church neighborhood or a block party for a neighborhood like we had at our neighborhood years ago, but not anymore, is the Glendale and Brentwood neighborhood got together. Others have applied for now the town wants a permit for it to block the street. I mean, come on, guys. This is neighborhoods. Next thing that I would like to introduce is we have been talking about the Peabody Institute Library and what has happened with the contents of the library, the floors, the sprinkler system basically went kaput about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And they had a shutdown for a few days at that time. But today I went to visit the library, and I was specifically interested in 2 items. Is the library right now is scheduled to be shut down from October 5th through October 22nd. And what they're going to be doing is demolding, or they have concerns in regard to the mold and the water that has been spilled on the carpets and the rugs and the mold contamination that may be there. The floor tiles have to be removed that are underneath the carpeting. So that'll be a restoration effort. They also are going to be doing some restoration of the paintings that have been damaged. They have, I think, the Peabody painting. We were there when we did the documentary. And then the other issue that I was concerned about is what happens with the archives. And sitting down with Mr. Trask, I was able to gather that as of May of 2019, which was this past year, the archives are protected by a gas suffocation system for fire suppression.
Yeah, that's a new one they put in.
That's right. They no longer have water sprinkling all over the old parchment documents and everything like that. But the fire protection sprinkler heads in the rest of the library are all going to have to be looked at as a facilities maintenance operation, because the sprinkler heads, and this is probably part of it, is why the town doesn't want to talk about it, because we have had very difficult time reaching out to anyone regarding to what's going on with the library. They have sprinkler heads, which are the little buttons that the gas breaks and the water starts coming out. They've been there for 30 years in some cases. Now, as you know, just as a word of precaution, our fire protection or fire detection systems, the alarms that we have on our ceilings, those are only good for 10 years, because there's even a precautionary note on the smoke and fire alarms and the CO2 alarms, is that within 10 years it expires basically, and it's not producing the results that have been built into the instrument. So this is another thing that they'll be doing, and I had, I think, a very good feeling that they're going to take their time. This is a restoration and rebuilding of the library floor, so that'll be a good thing in the long run.
Well, it has shown us how important the library is to us as a town facility. Having it shut off, it's just tough. But hey, fix it up and open it up, and we're back into business.
All right. So that's the Peabody Institute Library. The next little update that I'd like to bring is, as you know, last show we've introduced the issue of the beavers at the Endicott Swamp. Endicott Swamp, because it is a swamp, and it is on adjacent to the old Maple Street and Brentwood Circle, that has still, they've captured 2 or 3 beavers that I know of. And now what they have to do is they have to let the water drain, because what happened is the pipe that goes underneath Old Maple Street was clogged, and another grate is evident at Nickel Street. And that's blocked, and the water backs up into the Endicott Swamp. So now the town, in their wisdom, has to destroy or remove the beaver encampments, or whatever you want to call it, the beaver homes, and basically move them along to someplace else. So that is ongoing, and the town has been working on that issue, but we need to get this issue done quickly. The next item I have is we have a current picture this afternoon of the water and sewer new office building that is built on Canal Street. This is where they were supposed to build a office building on the existing foundations that were left there from the previous owner. And what has happened is that the DPW, in their wisdom, has decided to build a larger capacity of a building than they originally planned. And I have an email here that the new water and sewer building at 7 Canal Street was bid with a base bid of 2,460 square feet. The bid included an alternate for an additional 800 square feet. The bid was awarded to include the base bid and the alternate. So I have received that information. However, I have also attended the Water and Sewer Commission meeting, and there's no mention of it. The costs of this building were supposed to be included in the warrant article that was issued back 2 years ago. But as I have reported previously, the DPW director and now the water and sewer director has made it evident that that's not what they were going to build, because all they needed is an excuse to expand that building. And can you show that picture, please? There you go. That's the building. It was supposed to be originally on the left-hand side is a probably half or maybe 2/3 of that was supposed to be the footprint of the building. But they were also talking about doing a second story, which would have given them that additional space. But in this case, they decided to make it one level because they had the money for it. They, at the time when this was discussed 2 years ago.
What's the total for this?
Total, it's over $3 million right now, which means that they paid for the original structure. They paid for the additional building of 2,600 square feet, plus another 800 square feet, which looks like it's the right portion of that building. But the thing is, it was never intended to be that. At one meeting where I've been sitting in on all of the water and sewer meetings, and at that time we were discussing, the size, the cost, and at that time they were talking about a $5 million cost for the whole thing. And I said, gentlemen, the town meeting voted $2.2 million, and you have committed to building your office building on this part of that $2.2 million. Well, what I was told don't worry about it. We'll just go to town meeting and get extra money. And they did. They went for $300,000 for a roof for the garage. And then they went for another $475,000 in the last town meeting for a contingency. And guess where that contingency was for? 800 square feet of additional building. So I just wanted to bring everybody up to date. We'll be watching the construction and and the development of that project. The next clip that we have, no, we do not have a clip. We have community news. You've heard us. John, you and I have been talking about community news as a result of a bill that was introduced in the State House to find out why we have such a lack of community news. Well, I have been trying to get Salem News and the former Danvers Herald, now Beverly Herald, it's no longer a newspaper to speak of. And I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to issue an invitation in writing to get them to come on the show, maybe the first week in December.
Well, community news is let's say, dying.
Well, I believe, and I will show this as evidence, we received this document, or this insert to our mailing of, it says community news and events. What it is, it's a regurgitation of past stories that have happened mostly in Beverly and some in Danvers. And there's probably 60% of this advertising. So, you know, it really doesn't reflect community news. Salem News has lived up to its reputation as the Salem Snooze. That's what has been called for many years now. And the thing is, we need to talk to the editor and talk to the reporters. Reporters are stretched out so thin that they do not have the ability to really report community news. So now we have a clip that John prepared, and this is for the 1956 class reunion.
Well, this is as going on with what I was saying previously. Get involved. Community events. Here's things where, well, this is where 1956 graduates are getting back together again. And as you can see, everybody's having a ball. At least you know these people, you've met these people. And they're still, most of them are still here in Danvers. And you probably recognize quite a few of them.
Where was this at, the Polish Club?
Yeah. And
Andrea Daly, right there, Michael Daly.
yes.
Very nice. This is, was it 56, so that's...
1956, yes.
So that's 40, no, 50,
You can do the math.
60 years or so. It is. I know. I almost went to my 50th reunion, but that was in Boston, and I didn't go. But I'll have to wait for the next one.
But it's nice to sit down, have a conversation with people, meet people you haven't seen in years, and enjoy a few hours of being together and bringing back some great memories.
There you go. No, it's a opportunity to refresh your friendships, and you know, people do change over years. I don't know. I haven't changed that much, have I?
I still recognize you.
You do? That's great. Well, at least I have all my hair. No, that's a beautiful room in the Polish Club too. That's the small room. That's the Russian room, I think.
Bob LaFleur back there.
Yeah. Well.
And his wife.
speaking of the Polish Club is involved in this Crescent Cook, the
Contamination.
decontamination of the dirt behind
Yeah.
them. And I finally got a copy of the report that was issued on July 22nd. And I need to talk to them about what is going to go on behind there. But
As you can see, everybody's enjoying themselves.
well, that's fun, and you know what? It reignites friendships.
Yes.
So that's perfect. Just completing the Crescent Cook, there is a report out, and I want to thank the town engineer, Steve King, for getting a copy of that for me, and I will share that with the Polish Club and any other resident that wants to take a look at it.
That's another thing that you as residents, you should be following that. That could be a complete disaster for the town. There's so much contamination possible all over the area. And basically, we have to live with the problem.
And just to bring you up to date, you, not by name, but your map and your locations of possible contaminated sites around town has been mentioned in the report.
Oh,
So you have a
fantastic.
copy to look at
Yeah.
right now, and then we'll have to share that with the Polish Club and anybody else that's interested.
well, basically, anyone who's lived here for any period of time is aware of all the rivers and streams and ponds that are here in Danvers and flow through Danvers. And one of the biggest workforce and job availability for many, many years was leather factories. And that created the hazardous waste. And this is what basically we've got to start looking at, finding out where and what and why, and taking care of it. Because there are an awful lot of people out there who are completely unaware that they're next to it, they're actually living on top of hazardous waste, and we have to find out what's going on.
Right. All right. Next up is my favorite subject, Municipal Light Board. And I must report that there has been no update from the Department of Public Utilities, who is investigating the spending of the municipal light company in Danvers, because there's been over $25 million that has been diverted from residential rate collections and company profits, municipal light company profits, to projects that are not related to electric facilities maintenance or operations. So I will keep this in mind, but as you saw in the last program, there's a lot of resistance from Town Hall to even answer any questions. And what we need to do is we need to get a hearing with the DPU, and we do have a petition with them, and we need to get to the bottom of this. Okay, that's my update for the Municipal Light Board. It was very light today. I mean, it's unusual, isn't it, John? I have refrained from making any accusations, but
Well, I just want to remind you what we're talking about is the light company. When you flick your switch on and then you pay the bill for it, that money is being spent and you haven't any idea what it's being spent on. It's not being spent on the light department. It's being spent on other projects that someone else is making decisions on. And it's not that those projects are bad or not good. It's just that who's running the town? Is it the administration or is it the taxpayer? And it's supposed to be the taxpayer. You're paying the bills, You make those decisions.
Thank you, John. That's a very succinct observation. The problem is that the town administration, that's including a lot of people, are making decisions that are not in the best interest of the users, customers, or ratepayers. The one thing that we need to make very clear is that the electric company, municipal light company, is very well run, very efficient. But all that electric company is a processor of wholesale electric coming in from the outside and retail selling it to our residents in the town or city of Danvers. So the thing is, the people that are running the company itself, the everyday labor and operations people are doing a fantastic job. Management is who's spending the money that is not really theirs. And there's a day that comes around that when you keep on spending somebody else's money, it sooner or later runs out, and then you get in trouble. Next story. Next story, and I'll abbreviate this story because I have made this presentation to the DCAT Board of Directors. And we have a 9-member board of directors at this organization because it's like I said in the beginning, and let me just repeat this. Danvers Community Access Television is a nonprofit, membership-based organization governed by the DCAT Board of Directors. Fine. This board of directors is dedicated to providing video and media production tools to encourage the free exchange of information and ideals of Danvers, while bringing the community together through media production instructions and community collaboration. We, as subscribers to Verizon and Comcast, support this organization through our taxes and fees we pay during our monthly bills. So it's a semi-private, it's funded by your fees and taxes that are being collected.
It's a community program.
That's right. So my position has been with the board of directors, and we just had a annual meeting, and that was the only meeting I was able to go to because the board meetings are by invitation only.
They're non-public.
And non-public. And the thing is that those Community Access is a membership-based organization, so the members have a right to attend these meetings. DCAT is funded and supported by the taxes. These fees and taxes are public funds collected by law from the bills of Danvers subscribers.
In other words, you as members of the Danvers town are paying for it.
Yes.
Are you getting all the benefits you should be getting from it?
That's the question. And we've been pleading with the board of directors, you and I and John Zavaglium and I and previous members and I have been pleading with the board of directors that this should be opened up to the membership. And the membership doesn't even have an opportunity to nominate anyone to the board on the annual meeting.
Well, there's no communications.
Well, that's
They don't
right.
tell you what's going on.
So the issues that are coming out of this, we have limited programming of Danvers-related presentations. I have done a count of the programs that are produced and aired by Danvers for Danvers residents. And what I have come up with is that during there are 3 stations that are included in this. Channel 36, Channel 37, Channel 41 for Verizon, for Fios, and Channel 99 and I think 22 or some other one for Comcast. I have determined that 27 out of the 146 programs that are aired during a week, and we took the week of September 16th through September 23rd, 27 presentations, and that may be repeating different programs, out of 146 are produced and generated by Danvers for Danvers residents. 18% of the programming goes for the purpose that the mission statement says. I have asked for a list of programs that are being presented, and I can go through the list on a weekly basis, but it looks like there's something like 10 or 11 that are produced by Danvers programs or producers for Danvers Productions. Where is the rest coming from? I have been looking at and reading and watching the particular stations that we have in place, and we have NPR all over again. We have CNN all over again. We have even Fox type programs are shown. And shown for what purpose? Is it by Danvers residents? No. Is it for production for Danvers residents? I don't know, maybe. But the thing is, this is not what DCAT was established for by law, and that's federal law. So we have to refocus our attention. DCAT has to refocus their attention of what they're going to show on the program. Now, I made this presentation that I'm trying to summarize here at the annual meeting. I was heard out. It was discussed after the meeting. I haven't seen any results of it. And the thing is that I'm not going to stop, because this is something that's important for our viewers. We, John and I, we have tried to focus in on Danvers. This is Danvers for Danvers by Danvers. So we're focusing in on the issues and stories that are coming out of Danvers.
Well, this is what I've been pushing all along. Get involved. This is all yours. It's great fun. We've done various programs quite often. And it's rather, it's fun, it's interesting, and you can get your point across. It's fascinating. Do it. Try it.
We call it documentaries. We did the library walk around and explanation of what's really in the library, where to go to, how to access different rooms. We went to the water treatment plant. And as a matter of fact, when I was at the water and sewer meeting, Coley Rybicki, who's the chairman of the, I guess, commission, Water and Sewer Commissioners, asked me if I can get the walk around and the explanation of how the water treatment system works, give him a copy of the documentary that we did. And it was so informative. It was great. We did the Essex Tech interview with the superintendent, and then a walk around through the different shops. We're going to go back there again this fall, because what we want to do is we want to interest the TV they have a TV or cable programming organization that they teach to the students. We may want to bring them on a show and see how it really is.
Well, see, this is how this really works. This is how you can get Danvers residents, Danvers people involved. And it's a great situation where you really can enjoy it. You can do, Mark talks about documentation, but there's all types of, you have all types of information you can put across. There's entertainment. It's just fantastic. Try it.
Okay, so to summarize my plea to the DCAT Board of Directors is that programming should reflect our mission statement. Danvers programs for Danvers residents, free exchange of information and ideals of Danvers while bringing the community together through media production, instruction, and community collaboration. Introducing outside-produced programs may fill Channel 36 and Channel 99, but does not comply with our mission statement. We as members, and we are not public television gurus such as WGBH, CNN, Fox, or any other station out there. NPR is an example. We are a public access television authorized by law for Danvers subscribers of the cable network. Subscribers and residents are paying the bill and not getting what we promised and what was or is being planned in the future. So that was the plea. I made it. I don't know if we'll even get a response, but hey, we don't give up. So that's our DCAT Board of Directors plea, and I have given them a copy of this, and we need to follow this up later. The next story, next issue that we want to talk about is Danvers school system and the MCAS scores. But before we get to that, can we see clip number 4?
Yeah, this gives you an idea. The Richmond,
Holton Richmond, yeah.
Holton Richmond, if you want. I'm really rather, I went there. I mean, it's been there, and you can see the number of kids, it's increased substantially. The building has been enlarged, obviously. Look at all the buses, and as you can see, all the kids coming out of there. But they're talking about, over the next few years, a 15% increase in the overall population of the schools in Danvers. And as you can see, the numbers of kids already there, what is it, 3,400 and some odd?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, keep increasing it, and it's, boy, are we going to have kids. It sort of surprised me. We'll see when the buses go by again.
We have 3,481 students enrolled. That's pre-K through 12th grade. Now at this Holton Richmond, that was a big discussion back in the 20 years ago, 25 years ago. And I am glad that Emery Todd and myself and others selectmen at that time, Patricia Fraser, we were stood up and said that, hey, this has to be rebuilt instead of demolished or sold, because at one time that was being discussed as senior housing again.
Look at the number of buses.
Oh, yeah. And then we have the big traffic jam.
Yes.
Every afternoon and every morning.
This is what's going on in Danvers is traffic.
Right.
As you can see, that's a beautiful building.
It is, and this is the junior high, basically.
Yes.
And then we have the high school. Now, you saw the high school in the news recently as yesterday, that they had a fire in the third floor bathroom.
Yeah.
You know, these kids do not...
Well, that amazed me, disturbed me, but amazed me. What creates this?
They
Somebody
do not
actually
appreciate
created the
education.
fire. They arrested some kid?
They arrested a 15-year-old.
Oh.
But you know what? We've had worse. We had the murder of the teacher in the past at the high school.
Yeah.
That high school, I don't know.
It's not the high school, it's society. This is what's going on in this world. That's what's going on in this country. That's what's going on in this state. It's people. God help us.
And what townspeople do not understand is that this can happen in any town.
Well,
and we're just a iceberg that's got a little tip up.
That's the problem. Your kids go out the door, and there's no guarantee of their involvement and who's going to get involved and what it's going to be like.
Parents are missing in action when it comes to bringing up children. I know
it's entirely different than when I was.
Well, it's entirely different since 20 years ago. and it doesn't change except that we as society did not bring our previous generation up to the level where there should be responsible. There's a responsibility to everyone. But that's not the intent of the story. The story is that we do have these tremendous buildings for...
Well, we got 7?
We have 7 grammar schools, which incorporated the pre-kindergarten in there, and the kindergarten, and grade 1 through 6, I think, 5 or 6. And then they go to junior high. Oh, middle school.
Middle school.
Middle school. The same thing.
Well.
And then they go into the high school. High school is what, 9 through 12. So, but the story that we're bringing up, and this is just the beginning of it, is that there's a issue that has been brought up at town meeting last year, this past year, is that our MCAS scores are not up to snuff to where we as a community that's...
What's MCAS?
It's Massachusetts, it's a testing program that the state of Massachusetts instituted to measure the performance of the students in
all
our
the towns
grades.
and cities do it.
Every 352 cities and towns do it, and they compare the notes in a report which we'll start looking at here.
Well, that's the first question I have, is that with all the cities and towns in Massachusetts, and you're comparing these reports, can you really do that?
Sure you can. Why not? Well, everybody complains that
But every town and city is different in some ways.
Yeah, but it's all, see, the teachers and the administration and the town government believe that the more money you spend, the better results you're going to get.
Well,
and
that's true to a certain point, but a lot of it depends upon the students that you get.
Well, the students are a result of the population of that particular town.
Well, that's why I say you're comparing Danvers with a town that is or a city that may be entirely different.
They do that every day, John.
I know they do it, but it leaves a question mark in my mind.
We've been measured against cities like Lexington, Arlington. There are several cities that are very comparable in size, population and the split of college educated versus high school educated versus no high school educated.
Yes, I understand.
So-
You're trying to compare like situations.
Correct. And this is, it's really comparing the average of the whole state as a first
Yes.
bullet. And then you go down to the comparable cities and towns.
Well, see, that makes sense to me. Comparable,
Right.
but you can't. To me, you can't compare the overall.
Well,
State.
the state average is a number that comes out of just an arithmetic calculation.
Yeah.
So that's just a number.
Okay. Okay.
But listen to this, and this is coming out of our patch reporter, Dave Copeland. He's a good guy. But the thing is, it's coming out of Beverly. It's not coming out of Danvers. But let's take a look at it. Massachusetts released the results of the latest round of MCAS scores, and the number Danvers students meeting or exceeding expectations were below state average on 14 of the 19 assessments. Danvers students scored better than the state average in lower grade levels. The state uses the test as a key guide to performance of the schools and as part of its effort to bring accountability to the education system. Patch has asked the school officials for comment and will update the story when they decide to comment. The school departments.
Yeah.
So there's been very little released except on a system that has been prepared by the state to release this information. The state rolled out next generation tests in 2019, which this is based on. On the new, more rigorous English exam, the 10th grades where 58% of Danvers students exceeded or met expectations. 58%. That's not too bad. But the thing is, our school system, everybody claims that it's the golden nugget that we have in our town. 58% is not such a good
Well, it
number.
dropped from the last time. Haven't
That's
they?
right. Danvers students exceeded the expectations below the 61% statewide. So we didn't even meet statewide expectations. On a tougher math exam for 10th graders, 56% of Beverly High School students exceeded or met expectations below the 59% who met the mark across Massachusetts. So Beverly is in the same boat on the math test. These test results are available on the internet, and the issue that I'm seeing is that we are nowhere near the high end of the expectations that we have set for our students. And that was very evident during the last town meeting when there was a proposal made to cut $100,000 off the school budget to initiate an explanation and a study of why our grades are so much lower than the expected, even the expected averages for the state. So what we need to do is we need to, again, this is same as DCAT Board of Directors, we need to refocus our attention of the education system. And our school committee needs to address this issue once and for all, because they basically, at the last town meeting, ignored it.
Well, see, this is, again, I keep coming up with get involved. Your children are in school. Do you know what's going on? Or do you just send them out and take them back and accept whatever happens? Get involved.
What has happened in a lot of situations is that the school department or the school system in our town is being used as a, and I hate to say it, as babysitting for our students. They need to be challenged. They need to explore new avenues of getting an education and how to reason instead of, you know, I don't know. I have in the past, as a student, you memorize multiplication tables, division tables. You memorize the words. You have vocabulary every day. Reading was so important.
Well, let me just throw this in. When I was growing up, high school diploma was a requirement. I spent a lot of time taking college courses and so forth, but that was because when you went to an interview, if you were showing that you were taking college courses, that was a goody-goody for you. All of my children grew up, and all four of them went to college because that was a requirement. That's a necessity. And today, it's getting to the point where most college grads usually wind up getting 2 diplomas. They'll get basic, and then when they get out and get some experience, all of a sudden they go back and they get a specific for their employment.
That's similar, like professional or
Yes.
technical
Yeah.
or something like that. But you see, the colleges now, and the high school who are sending these students to colleges, basically expect the college to spend the first year to regurgitate everything that happened over the last 4 years in high school.
Well,
And people pay $75,000 to $100,000 a year for a college education, which is supposed to be addressed during the high school. What are we paying for?
you're paying because today's employment basically requires more than just handicap skills and physical skills and so forth. Today you've got to have mental abilities. It's an electronic age.
Well, you need to comprehend what you're doing.
Yes.
And it all comes, it's a combination at the end. When you graduate from high school, you merge into a college if that's necessary, if you want to. And some people go to college for no reason at all. They come out with a sheepskin that doesn't mean anything. But others go with a direction of where they want to go. I always wanted to be an engineer. I didn't specifically say civil structural, but when I sat down at Northeastern on my auditorium down there, 1,500 students, they gave us a computer card and says, pick your major. You have to be prepared for a major like that. And I was. But the thing is that we do not do that anymore. So this issue will continue. What I think we may want to do is invite the school committee chairman to come and address that. The school committee hasn't addressed that yet. Our next show will be on October 17th at 5 p.m. And we will have on October 17th, we are inviting some individuals that are related to the economic development and the performance of the businesses in our community. So stay tuned. We are ready to go and present this issue on October 17th. Good night, Danvers. Thank you very much for being with us. And also,